If you are thinking about moving to Liberty, Missouri, here are the pros and cons of living in Liberty. The first con starts with a story. So one time I was showing a home to a client in Liberty, Missouri. It was a home right about $300,000, which is a good price point for a home if you want to start a home in Liberty, Missouri. I went into the home and for some odd reason the seller was actually there. So the person selling the home was sitting in the couch when we walked in. And he was an older gentleman.
I'm an old man.
And he was kind of a rough around the edges kind of guy. He was sitting there in his overalls. And I remember the first thing he said to us when we came in, he said, "Take off your shoes," like really sharp like that. "Take off your shoes." And, you know, we had just opened the door and just walked in maybe 30 seconds from when he was addressing us. So we were going to take off our shoes. We were going to use the shoe covers provided. But he was really gruff and kind of really rough about it. And so we went through the home, and he was kind of sitting there kind of just really with a really angry expression on his face and kind of upset. So after the showing, the buyer and I talked in the driveway, and she decided that she did not want the house, which is totally fine, which is a very common thing. And so I remembered, I actually had my shoe covers on still, so I went back inside to drop off the shoe covers and to leave. And as I was going back inside, I said, thank you for showing us your home. We really appreciate it. I didn't say anything about the fact that she wasn't interested. I was just exchanging like pleasantries with this guy, and I got to sit down actually, and I actually got to know him. His name was Paul. He was an older gentleman. He was an older gentleman in his 80s, and he had lived in Liberty, Missouri his whole life. And one of the things that Paul kind of lamented was the fact that Liberty was changing so fast. And he had raised 4 kids in Liberty, Missouri. He had grandkids who were also in Liberty, Missouri. And sadly, he was at a point where he was getting too sick to walk up and down the stairs of his split-level home. And he wasn't going to be able to live there anymore. But he had seen Liberty change for such a long time, and he was not a big fan of the change. He was not a big fan of the way Liberty has blown up over the years, and the development that was going on there, commercially, residentially. He was very, very upset at all of these things. So I actually ended up staying 45 minutes talking with Paul and just hearing his life story. Living in Liberty when he was with his really young family. Sadly his wife passed away about 10 years prior, and he was just living there alone for the last 10 years. And watching his kids grow up and leave, watching his grandkids grow up was actually a really hard thing for Paul. So I bring this up just to bring up the first con. And the first con I would say is that there are people there who have been there for a long time who just don't like change. I think it's human nature that when things change too fast, or when things change out of the realm of what somebody is used to, they're going to naturally feel discomfort and fear at the coming change. And Liberty has already developed and blown up, but you can still find people there that can initially be very unpleasant because you're going to be a newcomer there. You're maybe moving from out of town. You're maybe moving from a different state, and you're landing in Liberty, and they kind of see you as an outsider changing their kind of quaint small town. It's not a small town anymore. It's not a small town anymore. Within the last 20 years, there's 30,000 people in the city of Liberty, and in the surrounding areas, there's much, much more. But all of that change leads us to our first pro, and that is you never have to leave if you live in Liberty. Now, if you don't care about the things downtown Kansas City has to offer, you have everything you could possibly want in Liberty, Missouri. You have the Liberty Triangle, where you have a ton of shopping. You have Stocksdale Park, where you could take your family. There's a disc golf course there. You have downtown Liberty, so if you want that old-timey city feel, then downtown Liberty is right there. If you live in Clay County, you actually have to go to downtown Liberty to pay your property taxes, your personal property tax. I had to make a trip up there last year because when I lived in Gladstone in Clay County, that was where I had to go pay my taxes. There really is everything that you could possibly want in Liberty, Missouri. However, with all that stuff comes a lot of people and a lot of traffic. If you talk to anybody in Liberty, they're going to complain about the traffic, particularly around the Liberty Triangle.
A shape that fits all other shapes inside of it.
No, it's true.
That's a very popular shopping center that if you want to check it out, I do more coverage on my Liberty vlog tour, which I link right here. But if you move there, you should expect there's going to be traffic and congestion, especially right when you get off the 35. There's going to be a lot of people who are waiting at that light. One of the more confusing lights, I've seen almost 3 accidents happen there because sometimes people are not sure if they can make a right turn and they break the traffic laws. So you're gonna find traffic there. Now, if you're moving from a highly congested area like ourselves, we moved from Los Angeles. So if you're moving from a highly congested area like Los Angeles, or if you're moving from New York, or if you're moving from Houston, then it's not going to be the same type of traffic that you're used to, but there is going to be traffic compared to the rest of the Kansas City metro. Next, a pro of living in Liberty is that you can still find pretty large lots compared to the rest of the metro area in Liberty, Missouri. What everybody says about Liberty is that Liberty is like living in the country. It's country living in the city. It's like living in the country, but you're still only 20 minutes from Kansas City, and that's very, very true. You can still find plots of land that are 1 or more acre if you're looking for living in the country. And the best part, like I said, you're only 20 minutes from the city. Wherever you live in Liberty, you can still jet down to the city. Just take the 35. You're going to shoot right down that freeway, and you're going to be down in downtown Kansas City in no time. However, if the city is not your scene, you can easily jet the other way and go out into the country. Kearney is probably 10 to 15 minutes away depending on where you are in Liberty, and so you have access to basically the best of Kansas City has to offer in everything in downtown. And then you can also go out into the rural areas if you want open spaces and you just want to relax. However, that leads us to a final con of living in Liberty, in that it is expensive.
I declare bankruptcy!
You're gonna pay a lot of money, especially if you want an acre out in Liberty. If you're looking for country living, then you're gonna need to go out even further if you want to keep your budget down. However, you're gonna be even further away from the center of Kansas City where everything is happening. Remember, Liberty was once considered an outer suburb of Kansas City. Now I would say it's been squarely incorporated into the greater Kansas City area because it's expanded so much within the past 10 years. Liberty, Missouri has blown up. You've got tons of commercial buildings, new businesses opening up all the time in Liberty. It's a very popular area for new businesses because you can see that here's an area where there are a lot of people who have families that live there and are constantly moving there all of the time, because if you're coming from somewhere that's a little bit more country feeling, then Liberty, Missouri is going to really appeal to you. The median price point home in Liberty is $325,000, whereas the median price point home in Kansas City, Missouri is going to only be $285,000. So you can see Liberty is an attractive area that's bringing a lot of people and investors and young families to move there, which is driving up the price. But what are you going to get for that price? It leads us to another pro about living in Liberty, and that is fantastic school districts. Liberty ranks number 9 in the greater Kansas City metro, according to niche.com, for schools. In Liberty School District, there are 2 large high schools, Liberty and Liberty North, and there's also a college in Liberty called William Jewell College, as well as a ton of elementary schools and middle schools. So if you have a child and you want them to stay in Liberty for their entire educational career, you can. I mean, you can send them off to elementary school.
Go away! Read some books!
Send them off to Liberty North, and then send them off to William Jewell if that's what you want. If you want to keep your kids close, you can do that in Liberty. Now, reading the reviews and talking to residents in Liberty who have experienced the Liberty School District, one of the things that they're going to tell you all the time is that the teachers there are super supportive. They are very proactive in helping their students succeed, which is why parents gush about the Liberty School District.